Hello, my name is Maria Henderson, and I am the president and a founding board member of Kids Chance of California. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us for this webinar, and thank you to CAW for providing this wonderful opportunity to help us spread the word to the applicant attorney community. I'd like to start off by giving you a little history of Kids Chance more nationally. Kids Chance was started in 1988 in Georgia, and a defense attorney in the workers' comp system tells a story that he was doing a deposition around Christmas, and he was really grilling this gentleman that had a back injury, and the deposition had been going on for hours, and in the middle of the deposition, a young child ran in, pushed Bob, hugged the neck of the injured worker, and said, please stop beating up my daddy. And Bob realized at that time that there was such an impact on the kids involved in this entire process, and he just realized these kids didn't have a chance. So he started to dedicate his time to creating Kids Chance. In addition to Georgia, Bob and many of the founding fathers and women in Georgia helped other states around the United States form Kids Chance organizations, and there was such a large amount of work involved in that they started Kids Chance of America in 2007, and the mission of Kids Chance of America is to ensure there's a Kids Chance in every state. And then Kids Chance of California was a little late to the table, but we'll talk about that in a few more slides. Today, Kids Chance coast to coast is 39 state organizations, and 7 states are just beginning to organize, and we do have 3 affiliate organizations. What's really amazing and wonderful about Kids Chance is that it's a unique organization that really involves a very diverse group from what is typically a very adversarial system in workers' comp across the United States. We have employers, we have insurers, third-party administrators, labor organizations, state government, medical providers, vendor suppliers, and both applicant and defense attorneys that are involved across the United States. Since the inception of Kids Chance in 1988, collectively, the states across the United States have given 6,000 scholarships totaling $18 million. It really is quite a powerful organization. As I mentioned, California got to the table a little bit late. Back in 2011, I was actually working for Pacific Gas and Electric Company, working in the workers' comp and the kind of workforce health space. And we had a very troubling double fatality where a couple of our linemen were killed in a motor vehicle accident. And as I was working with my workers' comp team to outreach to the widows and make sure we were taking care of those families, we realized they had multiple dependents. And we were talking about how sad it was that the dependency checks would end when those kids got to 18. And that's the age when most of us have to spend the most on our kids, because we have to get them to college. We have to get them self-sufficient. We have to get them educations. So I looked at my team on that day and I said, why don't we just refer the kids to Kids Chance when that date occurs? And they looked back at me with blank stares. And I realized the largest state in the nation, the most populated, one of the most progressive states, did not have a Kids Chance. So I worked with the Kids Chance National Organization and was able to find several really dedicated individuals to join the board. And so we were able to start Kids Chance of California in 2012. Our mission is to provide need-based educational scholarships for the kids in California. We concentrate on fatalities and serious injuries on the job, usually individuals that have some significant permanent disability that has decreased their financial earnings. Of course, we couldn't do anything for any of these kids if we didn't have money And there's been an amazing outpouring from the workers' compensation community here in the state of California that have allowed us to really be successful over the last few years. Nationally, we like to say it's all about more money for more kids. So I will talk about the kids in a few minutes, but I do want to take the time to thank those organizations who have given so graciously over the years. First of all, when we first started back in 2012, it took us over a year to work with the IRS to get our 501(c) application through. And even before we had that nonprofit status, 4 groups came forward and pledged $50,000 to ensure the stability of our organization as a startup. Boxer Gearson from your own community, Paradigm Outcomes, the California Self-Insured Association, and Sedgwick. And they continue to provide us with a lot of resources and help, including leadership on our board and ongoing financial support. Each year, we ask organizations to sponsor us at 3 different levels. Our platinum sponsors give $10,000 a year to help us give out scholarships. We've been able to maintain an 85 to 15 ratio. 85% of all of the donations that we receive go directly to scholarships or into our scholarship reserve, as we want to stay in touch with the kids through 4 years. So we earmark that money so that we can continue to support them year over year. And 15% has gone into operating expenses. In 2017, you can see we have several organizations, including one of our founding sponsors that continues to give, Boxer Gearson, and gold sponsors give $5,000 a year. And again, some very generous donations from law firms, medical providers, and the vendor community. We also have silver sponsors that give at the $2,500 level every year. And as you can see, we have a great deal of diversity in this group. They also give time on committees and volunteering at exhibiting at conferences. It's been a great group. So let's get to the really fun part of the webinar, which is talking about the kids, because that's really what it's all about. I want to tell you about a few of our kids here to highlight. First, I want to talk about Trent. Trent's father was a double amputee from work-related injuries in the construction industry. Many of you may have heard of his father. His father was Dwight Johnson. He won the Injured Worker of the Year at the Comp Laude Awards in 2015. Dwight had a large family, 6 kids. Due to the financial drain of workers' comp, the family actually moved to a rural town in Washington. But when Trent needed to go to school, he wanted to go to the University of Idaho in Moscow, where they had just an amazing biological engineering degree. And it was out-of-state tuition, and it was really too much for the family to handle. So Kids Chance jumped in and has been supporting Trent. He's now a junior, doing very well. Sadly, his father, Dwight, passed away this past year in March, and we have been providing additional support and mentorship for Trent with one of our board members to ensure that he really has the support he needs to get through college this year. The next scholar that I want to talk about is Cameron. And if you were to look up the word resilient in the dictionary, I think Cameron's picture would jump in. This is the only situation I've ever heard of, and I've been in the workers' comp system for over 30 years. Cameron lost both of his parents in 2 separate workers' compensation accidents. Both of his parents worked for the LA Police Department, and his father passed away when he was very young, 5 or 6. His mom continued to raise the family, and she passed away when he was a young teenager, and he has been raised since that time by his older sister, who in her own right is a force of nature. Cameron really struggled his last few years in high school because of the death of his mother and the overwhelming issues of losing both parents. But he was able to fight back his senior year and was accepted into Arizona State University. He's a sophomore this year. He's studying justice studies. He wants to follow in the footsteps of both of his parents and go into law enforcement. He's excelling in college and was able to walk on to the football team. He plays on the practice team. And he's also working in a part-time job, which we were able to help him secure through contacts that we had at Kids Chance of Arizona. Randolph's father was a lineman in Southern California, and although the accident that he was involved with did not result in significant physical injuries, Randolph's father was in a vault that exploded where one of his other members of the crew was killed. And the psychological impact of witnessing this gruesome death has been very difficult on Randolph's father. He was able to return to work, but his financial income was greatly reduced. He's not able to work a lot of overtime or maintain the salary that he had as a lineman. So Kids Chance stepped in, and we have been able to help Randolph. He's a sophomore at the University of California, Riverside. He's very interested in going into a health-related field. Interestingly enough, he's just recently declared his major as psychology. He's been really helping his dad, taking his dad to all of his psychiatry appointments, and he wants to go into some type of psychology field. Harrison, just another kid that really is resilient. Harrison's father was a pilot for a large church ministry down in Southern California, and due to weather conditions, the plane crashed and everyone on board was killed. His mother he had a brother, and his mother, obviously this was a very difficult situation. It actually occurred the year that Harrison was applying to colleges. And Kids Chance was able to step in and help with a scholarship. He is going to a religious university, Azusa Pacific University. He is studying business and accounting. He has one of the highest GPAs out of all of our scholars, and he also plays on the varsity football team. He would not be able to play on the varsity football team if he had to work a full-time job. So we were very excited to be able to help Harrison. Jayden Rainey is one of our rock stars. She was awarded the David DiPaolo Memorial Scholarship. Many of you know David. He was the CEO of Work Comp Central, and he passed away a couple years ago. We have a memorial scholarship in his name, and we award it to the scholar that really embodies community service and leadership and belief in the human spirit, which is what David stood for. Jayden Rainey's mom suffered an organic brain injury. She was permanently disabled, was a single mom when Jayden Rainey was a young teenager, and there were three brothers. Jayden Rainey went to work early. She got a work permit. She absolutely took over kind of as the parent in the situation. She is a senior at Cal Berkeley in political science. She's actually graduating early, which I don't know how many of you have college-age students out there, but very few kids graduate early. She's graduating in December. She works a lot of hours, but we were able to help her in a lot of different ways through the David DiPaolo Memorial Scholarship. She was able to do a congressional internship in DC one summer. We were able to fund that for her. She worked abroad in Berlin. She actually said the housing was cheaper than Berkeley. And this past summer, she interned in New York City as a political communications specialist. They were so impressed with her during her internship that they have offered her a job. So she is not only graduating early, but she is beginning her job after the first of the year. I also want to highlight one of our recent graduates. We have Brianna, who just graduated this spring from California State University, Fullerton in child and adolescent development. Brianna is an absolute joy. She's working at a preschool, and she is applying to graduate school. She wants to go into advanced educational studies and probably work with developmentally disabled. Brianna is another one that embodies resilience. She actually started in the foster care system and was adopted at a young age by a wonderful couple, an LA police officer and his wife, Unfortunately, just a few years after she was adopted, her father was killed in the line of duty, and her mom had to raise Brianna as a single mom. So we were able to help all 4 years, and I helped in a mentoring role with Brianna, and she was just amazing, and we really are expecting a lot out of her. So these kids are great. If you want to hear more about their stories, we have a Kids Chance of California YouTube channel, and I highly recommend that you go on and watch a couple of these videos, these selfie videos that our kids done. There's a great one from Cameron. There's a great one from Jayden Rainey. All I would recommend is that you make sure you have your box of Kleenex before you log on. So the timing of this webinar was really wonderful because Kids Chance Awareness Week nationally is occurring November 13th through the 17th. And all over the United States, there's all kinds of outreach and visibility activities going on. So we're really thankful that CALL allowed us to do this. And we want to make sure that everyone that's on this call thinks about how they can help. And so if you go out to our website at kidschanceca.org, there are ways that you can donate. Every amount helps. If your law firm or your organization wants to sponsor, there are links and information about sponsorship. But believe it or not, we actually have an easier time finding donations than we do finding the kids for these scholarships. A lot of it has to do with the timing of the injury, and if the kids aren't at college age, we lose track of them throughout the claims process. So I ask each of you on the phone to think through the families that you've worked with over the past few years. Do any of them have kids that are between the ages of 16 and 25? We also pay for Bow Technical School and college. So refer them, go out to the website. The application process is not difficult. You can help them get some of the workers' comp paperwork together. If you want to volunteer your time, let us know. Go out to the website, send us an email. We have committees and tasks and all kinds of information. So again, I hope that you have been inspired by the stories of these kids and inspired by the other individuals in California that are stepping up and paying it forward in a workers' comp system where many of us have made money for many years. It's time for us to give back, and it's time for us to give back to the kids of California. So I thank you for your time, and please help us help the kids of the injured workers in California.